What's up, guys? Welcome back. Another episode of the Average Money Podcast. Today, we have a guest co-host in the house. Super pumped about it. A guy that literally has been doing things that are just blowing JJ and I's mind, from everything from real estate to social media to the brands and businesses, courses. He has a podcast coming up. Just a guy that we really just want to pick his brain. And I think that he has a lot of value that he can add to the younger generation and even some boomers like me. It's going to be a good time talking with Ryan today. If you are new to this podcast, my name is Brad Finn. I'm joined every single week with Mr. Live Streams 7 hours per day now on YouTube, JJ Buckner. How we doing, bud?
Good, man. It's been a grind. Definitely been a crazy past couple of days with what's going on in the market. I'm sure if you guys are listening now, you know what's been going on. We may touch on that a little bit in the future, later in the episode. But yeah, I'm excited to talk to Ryan today. I was the one to reach out to Ryan. I followed him on Instagram. And since I followed him a few months ago, maybe the guy's been blowing up. I mean, he's killing it, and I'm excited to have him on the podcast. So, Ryan, first of all, I want to say thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy fella, so thanks for giving us, average money dudes the chance to get to pick your brain and really just hear your story. But there's a lot that you've done in your lifetime as such a young man that I'm excited to see kind of how it started and where you're at now and what you're doing to become such a successful individual. So first, everyone, welcome Ryan Pineda to the Average Money Podcast. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm happy to be on the podcast, man. Thanks for inviting me, guys.
As JJ mentioned, such a young guy doing so many different things, and a lot of them now based around making money. When did it really start for you? Like, was this like your high school, Ryan, and you're like, I can't wait to make money? I'm always curious to see where that money switch happened for you. Like, when did that begin?
I'll say I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. It's not like I always wanted to be an entrepreneur or anything. I don't know if anyone says that. But when I was younger, I would do entrepreneurial stuff now that I look back on it. I was flipping Pokemon cards at school, selling them, making money, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, whatever. When I got into high school, I would try and do different things that made money, whether it was playing poker or betting on things. Like, I'm from Vegas, so I have a gambler spirit. And, did all that. I even played online poker, was pretty good at that as well throughout high school, even though I shouldn't have been. But yeah, I've always done these things to hustle and make money. But, my first focus in life was playing baseball. So literally all my time was dedicated to practicing and perfecting that craft. And it took me far. Thankfully I got a Division I scholarship. I was an All-American, won awards. Then I got drafted by the Oakland A's and played pro baseball for 8 seasons, all of which were in the minor leagues. Now, I'll say that I wasn't making money in the minor leagues. Like, I was making $1,200 to $1,500 a month. So I had to continue to hustle to make money and still, go live my career. But the one thing I'll say is, like, it was always a delayed gratification type deal for me because, when you're a kid and you're working towards getting to the big leagues, right? You can't get to the big leagues today. You're working for tomorrow. So I think that kind of instilled into me like delayed gratification, knowing that, hey, I'm grinding right now as a high schooler, as a college guy, as a minor leaguer, for the hope that one day, I'll get to the big leagues and make the real money, right? But that never happened. And so, all of that hard work, even though it was fun, I enjoyed the process, didn't make any money. And so I ended up having to get in all these different side hustles and figure myself out. A lot of athletes have no idea what they want to do with their life when sports is over. And so you don't even have to be a pro to have that happen to you, right? A lot of high school kids, have that happen to them. I'm sure you guys look like you played some sports. So, for me, I was already thinking about, okay, what happens if this doesn't work? And, the first thing I did was became a realtor in 2010. And I was 21 years old at the time, and worst economy, back then in 2010. Real estate was at all-time lows, sucked selling homes, and realized I hated that. But I also realized that I didn't want a boss. I didn't want a job. And nobody would even hire me anyway, because I had to go play baseball 6 months out of the year. So who's going to hire me for a position? So I was pretty much like forced into entrepreneurship to survive, because my family didn't have any money. They got wrecked by the recession. And so it was like, I was forced into this decision. And I started getting all these side hustles like couch flipping, which was something that I did out of like, just, I thought about it. I'm like, dude, I could sell this and make money. And I started selling a bunch of random things and making money. And that video blew up on YouTube, which I have no idea why, but it was just like, I was just making that video because it was something I did, right? I just share my experiences at the end of the day. And, long story short, got into real estate investing. That's what most people know me for at this point. I've flipped hundreds of homes. I've got rentals, I've got a real estate brokerage, real estate education company, CPA company. So we do a whole bunch of stuff on the real estate side, and that's where I've made my money. But to answer your original question of, when did like I want to start making money and do all this stuff? Honestly, like money and like becoming rich were never truly a focus of mine. 5 years ago, I would have never imagined I'm at the point where I'm at. I remember sitting there 5 years ago before flipping my first house and thinking, if I could make like $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, that would be really good. Like my family and I will be living really nice. And to the point now where like we've made $100,000 in a week. And I'm like, this is so crazy to me that this happens.
Yeah, and I don't think that money has, from following you along, I don't even think that money's changed that much, which is always awesome when we see people being successful. And you are somebody that loves to clap when people win. I just following you from behind the scenes, you just seem like that guy that loves seeing people win. I think that's part of the reason that, you made these courses to help people in a more structured way and, just knocking it out. And I'm sure you've talked about real estate for years now, and you're probably sick of talking about it. But as a new real estate investor, I am just curious about one question, if I could just talk about it for a minute. I'm curious, like, what do you think either the best way or what's your favorite way to make money in real estate? We know there's so many different ways. JJ is buy and holds, there's flips. I'm a hard money lender, things like that. What have you seen to be like your favorite way to make money in real estate?
Well, for me, I'm biased since I got started flipping houses, and that's where I've made the majority of my money. But what I'll tell people is this: if you are going into real estate with not a lot of money, and you plan to like do it full time as your career, you should learn to flip and wholesale. Like those are the number one things. You got to do those because you got to build capital. You got to learn to find good deals. You got to learn to renovate properties. And this is your full-time job. Okay. So there's no reason you can't flip. Now, when I get people, especially in my coaching program who have a full-time job that they don't want to leave, we got guys who are making six figures at their job and they want to keep that income so they can get loans. They got a family and they're not going to quit, but they want to create extra income. They want to build wealth. And so for those guys, it's really on a really lifestyle basis. Like, okay, you know what? You do make good active income at your job. Let's now start funneling some of that money into rentals, kind of like what JJ's doing. Let's, maybe do a flip here or there, because you don't want to quit. You're not trying to transition. But then there are other guys who are like, I hate my job. Like, I'm ready to quit tomorrow. I just need to prove that this real estate thing can get off the ground. And so for those guys, I always tell people, like, if real estate is the full-time gig, I mean, you got to create active income somehow. You can't just buy rental properties nonstop. Like, you'll run out of money. And in the end, rental properties don't even make you very much money. Like, they're a long-term play. Like, I'm not going to go live off the $200 a month this house makes. Like, that ain't going to make me happy.
That's a great point because I think it really does justify, depending on where you're at in life, what you want to do, where you want to get. So one thing I've noticed, and again, I'm nowhere close to where you're at in the real estate game, but let me ask you this. When you were first starting out, were you doing everything on your own? Did you have a team? Did you try to network? Did you try to get out to like real estate meetups? I mean, what were you doing when you were first getting started? Because I feel like I remember being that guy at 24, 25, hearing about real estate, and I actually heard it through Bigger Pockets, which I think a lot of people hear about now. And I was so excited to get started, but then I also was like, okay, what do I do first? And you hear like try to network, meetups, look for deals, drive for dollars. What did you try to build a team first, or you're like, I'm a one-man show, I'm just going to try and rock it? I mean, what was your kind of deal for that?
So for me, I was a one-man show for a long time. And I think obviously when you're starting, you can't really afford to hire anyone. I mean, your only option is you're going to go partner with somebody so you both can do it together. And I think partnerships are great. I think it does take a very special person who can, do it by themselves. I think most successful investors I know have a partner in some way. And so I always tell that to people, like when you're looking at me and I'd say, oh, I did it by myself and, I did it, I built this, whatever. That to me is the rarer case. So when you are starting out, I think the hardest part of this business is finding a good deal, right? And negotiating that. So like the sales guys who are natural, or people who are natural sales guys, I see them able to hit the ground running versus the analytical, maybe detail oriented, administrative operations type guy. They're great and you need them as you grow. But at the end of the day, getting deals in the beginning is the lifeblood of your business. You got to create revenue, right? So even the guy who has no operational talent, if he negotiates a good enough deal, he'll be fine. And so I think my answer would be, if you are a natural sales guy and you're good at hustling and finding deals, you can start by yourself. If you're not, you might struggle and you probably want to partner with a sales guy.
Yeah, that's definitely everything that I've ever done well. I did with a partner, and mostly just to fill the holes of the skill sets that I had, like you mentioned. If you're not a hustler, go find it. And I'm going to make sure that I leave all that information, because we could probably talk for hours on just real estate. But as we mentioned before, so many things that going on, and people may not know like your age and where you're at, and you can disclose that or whatnot. But I think something that you're doing now, how you've built even further onto that, is using social media. And I teach high school and I try and tell these kids all the time, there is so many opportunities to make money on the internet. And as somebody that's approaching 40, that wasn't the same for me. And I think sometimes adults, they don't realize, like, what do you mean this guy's on TikTok making money? Or why is he spending time building a YouTube channel? And why is a couch flipping video going viral? Things like that.
Right.
But you seem to have had, your finger on the pulse, even one step ahead, because when people were just starting to talk about TikTok, you were already blowing up on TikTok. When did you see, or social media, how did social media enter your life? Did you think of it more as a way to build your real estate, or do you think of it as a completely separate entity?
One thing about social media that I want to just say real quick is that for those who might be thinking that it's too late because it's too competitive or whatever, it's not. Trust me.
Preach, Ryan. Preach.
It is. Anybody could blow up tomorrow. Seriously, that's what having all these platforms allows you to do. For those of you, if younger people are listening on TikTok, they know who Charlie D'Amelio is. And I mean, she was a nobody 16-year-old who gained 100 million followers in a year. That's absurd. I've seen people on TikTok get 1 million followers in a week. It happens. So I say this kind of in both real estate and social media. Is in real estate, you could be one deal away from changing your life. In TikTok or any social media, you could be one video away from changing your life. Anything can go viral. But the problem is it takes time for that to happen. So, and you got to put out all those videos to see what sticks. But as far as my journey goes, man, I would just say it's been a wild ride. I understood the power of social media back in 2016. Back in 2016, I only had a Facebook, and one of my mentors was telling me, hey man, you need to start posting on Facebook what you're doing. Because I was just starting my house flipping career, I was having success, and I was like, nah, man, I don't want people to know my business. I'm kind of introverted naturally, and I don't want that. He's like, dude, just do it. It's going to help your business. So sure enough, I would post what I was doing in my house flipping business, before and after. I would post, me walking through a home. People loved it. And I was afraid to post my true success, the profit and stuff, and show money. And eventually I got over that. I was like, you know what? I'll just post it, whatever. If people think I'm bragging or boasting, whatever, that's their problem. And so I post it. And then sure enough, more people are like, oh man, I didn't know it was like that. Okay. We want to work with you, all that stuff. Right. So I was just doing Facebook. And then I think around in, I want to say late 2017, maybe 2018, I finally got an Instagram. And once again, I was super not wanting to do Instagram because I'm like, oh man, it's just people showing pictures. Like, this is stupid. And then, I started getting active on it, doing stories and stuff like that. And, it made me a lot of money. And Instagram was really all I focused on because Facebook was kind of dying. And so from 2018 to 2019, it was just strictly Instagram. And between those years, I would say 16 to 18, 19, I can easily say social media made me over $1 million. And the reason was I was getting all these deals sent to me from realtors, from wholesalers, whatever, deals I would not have gotten if I didn't post. I was getting money to go buy these deals. People were seeing my success and wanting to invest with me, So, I was already a believer at that point, right? Just for my existing business. And I wasn't, and I wrote a book in 2018 and a course and all that stuff. So, bringing attention to my success also helps sell those products as well. So social media was great. Obviously a big believer. And I want to say at the beginning of 2020, if I had to guess, in January 2020, I think I had like 15 to 20,000 Instagram followers. That was it. No TikTok, no YouTube, nothing. So long story short, I'm in, it comes March, and my friend Kong, if you guys know him, he's like a real estate wholesaler. He's got like over 2 million TikTok followers now. But at the time, he had like 100,000 in March. This was March of 2020. And we were at a mastermind together for real estate, and a very expensive mastermind. And I did a presentation on social media for all of the investors. I said, hey, here's what I do on social media. Here's how it's made me over $1 million. And people loved the presentation. I won presentation of the event. And Colin goes, how are you going to like give that presentation, but you're not on TikTok yet? I was like, dude, TikTok is so dumb. Like, it's just kids dancing and all this dumb stuff. And, I was like, he's like, dude, you got to do it. And I was like, all right, whatever, dude. So about a month passes, and he kept texting me like every week. He's like, dude, why haven't you posted? Why haven't you posted? I was like, I'll get to it. And by then we were in lockdown, everyone locked down. It was about April. I was like, well, I guess like, I don't have an excuse at this point. Like, I'll just start posting and see what happens. So I start posting and nothing's happening. I don't even know what I'm doing. And then sure enough, I finally start getting some traction, get some videos that go a little viral. And sure enough, I'm starting to really see like, okay, this is something. Like, it's not just kids dancing. And it like, there are ways to monetize here. Like, I got some private lenders from TikTok. I got course sales, like all this stuff, right? I'm like, oh man, I didn't realize people on TikTok had any money to like do stuff, but they do. And I can tell you TikTok has made me, I don't even know, at least hundreds of thousands in the last year, just due to different things. So that was how TikTok started. But the way YouTube started was very similar at that time. I had put on Instagram, hey, I'm starting a TikTok. You guys, go follow it if you want some like different types of content. This is not like the Instagram content, way different. And a bunch of people are like, dude, you need to start a YouTube. And once again, dude, I've always been very like negative. I'm like, well, not negative person, but negative to new social media. Like, dude, I don't want to start a YouTube. You can't even like, this is stupid. And I was like, who are the top YouTubers? He's like, oh, go check out, like everybody was saying, go check out Graham Stephan, check out Meet Kevin, check out like these guys. I was like, okay, what's their deal? Like, are they flipping like all these houses, or are they these super investors? What's the deal? And I looked them up. I'm like, these guys don't even like do anything. I don't get it. Why are they the best? And that was how I looked at it. And I was like, you're telling me that these are the top, they don't even have businesses. They're just YouTubers. And I saw how much money they were making because they were talking about it on YouTube. I was like, these guys YouTube pays them hundreds of thousands every month to make videos. Are you kidding me? And that was like, for me already, that I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, that you could make that much money just from YouTube AdSense, not even existing businesses and generating leads and sponsors and all the things that you can monetize. I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, like anybody could do this. Number one, like they already proved that you don't have to have a business and flipped hundreds of homes to like build this YouTube channel up. they did it. And it's like, and I don't want him to think I'm hating on him or disrespecting him. Like Graham and I are friends. We actually helped him buy his home here in Vegas. And, I've told him before, I'm like, you inspired me. Like, just cause like, it's crazy that you were able to do that. And I'm over here grinding, to build these companies and all these things. And I know other people, who are much bigger companies than me, much more established, and they don't have any following. And like, you guys are making more than everyone with no risk. And it just was the craziest thing to me. I couldn't believe it. So that's kind of how it all got the ball rolling.
So I literally, as soon as you said no risk, I wrote on my paper, no risk in social media. So that's one of the greatest points. There's so many things I want to touch on real quick, but you said that last, so I'm going to touch on that. I say this all the time, and people are probably sick of me saying this, but I honestly think, personally YouTube, because I started on that platform, but social media in general, I think is the single greatest business someone can start right now, and it's anyone. You could be 8 years old or you could be 80. I was telling my grandma the other day, like, Grandma, you should start some YouTube channel. And she doesn't even know how to work her cell phone, but I was like, I'll help you out. Like, I mean, anyone could make a channel on anything. You just got to find the community, and you got to be able to document. You got to create content. You got to be creative. But the thing is so coming from a YouTube background, starting in YouTube, I just came on the TikTok space. I always said the same thing you did, Ryan. I was like, I don't want to even download the app. It's a bunch of young kids dancing.
I'm still saying that.
Well, you're a boomer, so
the way he got pushed into it, I'm thinking to myself after hearing him just talk about that, and I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Like, but my kids would roast me if I started. I teach seniors; they would roast me if I had a TikTok.
But here's the thing. Here's my thing, though. I feel like it's almost two different worlds: YouTube world and TikTok world. Like, I was talking to Nate O'Brien the other day, and we were talking about this like challenge we're trying to do with ourselves to upload more TikTok content. And what I've noticed is just doing. I have been trying to do one video a day with what's going on this past week. haven't been able to do that, but I try to do one video a day during the weekday, and I haven't seen like magical growth or anything. But I will say this. The rate that I'm growing on TikTok versus the rate that I grew on YouTube is an astronomical difference. I mean, I'll get in a day of followers what it took me 6 months to get in YouTube when I first started.
Yep.
It's insane. I don't know what it is about it. And I mean, Ryan, you've been doing it for a while. Is it just you think that there's just a larger amount of people on the platform, or?
Yeah. Why are people blowing up so quick in your opinion? What do you think?
I think the platform is young, so it's less users than, these other platforms, right? So anytime you're an early adopter, you're going to get the benefits. Clubhouse is another one right now why people are trying to jump on it, because if you're an early adopter, you got a big advantage. But, the reason why people are blowing up now on TikTok is I think their algorithm is a lot more friendly to new people. It's like everyone has the same chance to go viral, and just the way it works. I said this, man, I did an interview maybe like 6 months ago when I first started YouTube and TikTok. At the time, I want to say I had 100,000 TikTok followers, and I had like 3,000 YouTube subs. And even then I believed like it was going to continue to just skyrocket, just because I felt like I cracked the code. And my big thing I was saying was all these years I've been on Instagram, putting in content, making stories, all this stuff, but it never made sense to do that. And Instagram has a purpose, but the problem with Instagram is, number one, it's pay to play. If you want to grow, you typically got to pay. You got to pay for a shout out. You got to pay for paid ads just to sponsor your post, whatever. And number two, there's literally no way to grow organically until now. Okay. Before there was Reels, there was no way to grow organically. You make a post, whatever, like it barely gets seen. It only seen by the people who already follow you. Right. And then you look at, stories. It's like you could post the best stories ever, and then 24 hours they're gone. Like nobody would have ever known you did that. And then I looked at, they don't pay you to do anything. At the end of the day, Instagram pays you nothing. And so when I looked at what YouTube was doing, it all made perfect sense to me. I was like, dude, YouTube is owned by Google. Okay. Google literally pushes you to YouTube if you search something. That's their number one thing. Because what happens is if Google ends up, sending you to a website. Say, how to flip a house, right? They'll send you to a website and then you're gone. You're off Google. You're on that website. But what if they send you to YouTube? You're still on Google essentially. And now you're watching videos for the next 2 hours, binge watching. And so here's the deal. Google's incentive is to keep you on Google so they can make money and feed you ads. And so if you make good content, it's essentially guaranteed that you're going to get pushed there. And the other part of it too is when you're looking at it from a business perspective, the best type of customer is someone who's searching exactly for what you're providing in that video. And so if somebody searches how to flip a house and my video pops up and maybe I recommend my course or coaching or whatever, that is the best lead you can get for a business. And so after realizing that and realizing the evergreen nature of YouTube, where if I make a video today, it's on there forever. Instagram's not like that, where, if you make a post today, it's gone within 24 hours because it's just moving down the feed. And also too, there's no SEO part of Instagram. It's not like I could search on Instagram, best real estate investor Instagrammers. Like it doesn't exist. But on YouTube, it does. There's the search bar and you can find people. And YouTube will recommend the right people to you based on the videos you're watching. So it's crazy, man, when you look at how it all actually happens and you're like, this makes perfect sense. And YouTube will pay you to make content. They'll pay you a lot of money. So like, it's just, and once I realized that, I was like, I understand the game. This is how you hack it. Like, I get it now.
I don't want people to think that like this is easy either. Like, I want to draw attention to the work ethic that you have. Like, I've heard you speak on other podcasts, and I don't know exactly where you said it, but you talked about like what the first 3 hours of your life are like when it comes to like you're checking boxes for different social media things, especially when you're trying to grow. Maybe now that's kind of slowing down a little bit, but how much attention are you giving daily to things like YouTube and TikTok and whatever other social media things outside of your regular businesses? Like, how much time are you spending every single day on just social media?
I would say literally my full-time job at this point is social media. Like, and we were talking about it before this, like I've built basically a team and a business around it now, just like I have with my other businesses. To answer your question, well, to preface the answer, one thing I realized as I got heavy into this and, built relationships with other YouTubers and people and influencers, most of them run their channels like a hustle. They're just solopreneurs. They've gotten millions of subscribers and made a lot of money by themselves. So it's obviously part of the reason why I'm in the business, right? But also too, you just like, for them, it's like, why change? I've already accomplished this. And a lot of them have the fear of what's it called? Hiring out editors and stuff because it might dilute the content. But the other part of it too, is they make so much money doing what they're doing. So it's like, why even have a real business? I call it a real business, right? There's no point. You're making so much money as a YouTuber. And so I totally get their perspective. On the other side of the coin, I also see the other perspective of what I call it, the real business owners, the guys, having employees and brick and mortar or whatever. And they have corporations, whatever you want to call it. And they don't have time to make content, dude. They are working on their business and in their business. And so it's rare that you find the person who's able to mesh those together, who still has the businesses, but still also can create the content and be both. And so when I looked at it, I said, I can do both. I know I can, because I know how to set up companies and I know how to delegate and put the right people in the right seats, because that's my background, is running businesses. And then I know that in order to do social media to the max, I need to do the exact same thing. I need to build a business around it. I need to hire the right people, build the right structure. Everyone needs to understand their roles, what we're good at, what we're not good at. And then we need to continue to monitor it like a business and check every single day, every single week, our KPIs, what performs, what doesn't, what thumbnails good, what subjects are good, what titles are good, what failed, everything. And there's not many guys I know that really have merged the gap. Gary Vee obviously has. He has a huge, business and social media presence, obviously. I think Patrick Bet-David's another one who's, figured out how to do that very well. But other than that,
what does that team look like, Ryan? How many people are on that team? Or like, does it start with the full team, or do you bring on somebody? And this is, I'm kind of selfishly asking myself.
I was about to do the same thing.
because I know you're absolutely right. And I'm pretty good at that too. I've owned businesses in the past, and I'm very good at hiring and like you, all those things. I am a little bit of a control freak. I will self-admit, but you know, what is kind of like, if you're Brad Finn and you have 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, where does that team even begin for you? I mean, I think you've gone to 80,000 already, and I'm not going to chalk that up to luck or anything, especially talking to you now. I know the reasons why you're blowing up, but what is that? Where does that team begin?
So for me, it began right in the beginning, but not as a big team, right? You know, when you're testing out and you're starting a new business, you know, unless you're raising all this private money and stuff, or, you know, investment money, you wouldn't just hire out the gate, you know? So you test and figure out, even if you want to do this, right? Like, at the end of the day, it sounds good in theory. You see other guys doing it, but once you start actually doing it, you find out whether you like it or not. And so when I first started out, I got a videographer who also edited. And I said, here's the deal. You know, I want to hire you on salary. I was paying him $3,000 a month. And I said, let's just try and make 3 YouTube videos a week. That's the goal. And we did it, you know, and we did 3 a week. We did 3 a week for probably the first, we started out at like 1 to 2 a week. And then, you know, after a few weeks, we started to refine our process, and we got to 3 a week. And then, you know, we started to grow the channel, you know, got my first 1,000 subs. It took me 3 months to get like 4,000 subs, you know, and to, you know, get monetized. Like I got monetized after 3 months and 3,000 subs. And so it's like all the growth has happened really later on, because YouTube's exponential for those who don't know. But anyways, I hired him. We do that, him and I, it's going good. But I had always said that, hey, I'm playing catch up. So I need to get as much content out in the world as possible. Like all these guys who do, you know, high quality over quantity, like that works when you're established, I should say. But when you're trying to get out there, you need to make as much content as you humanly possibly can, because you, number one, don't know what's good or not, like what people want to see. You're just like, you're throwing lottery tickets out there, hoping that one sticks. But number two, you're also improving by making content. Like you're going to get better. You're going to become a better speaker, better on camera, all that stuff. You're editing, everything should get better because you're practicing. And then number three, just you realize like what you're missing in the business. So that's how I realized, hey, we need to hire a second videographer editor as we ramped up our volume. Hey, you know what? The biggest headache for me as the creator is that I have to review these videos like 3 or 4 times, you know, because I'll film the video, editor gets it, he sends it back to me. Okay, I got to make all these revisions now. I'm like, hey, change this, right? Sends it back to him, sends it back to me. Now I'm watching it for the 3rd time. All right, making sure it's good. If everything is good, best case scenario, great, we're ready to go put it. But likely cases, there's like 1 or 2 other small little tweaks. All right, send it back, watch it again. I realized, dude, I've watched this video 4 times. Like, I don't have time to be doing this over and over again. And then on top of that, as you know, in YouTube, you got to post you got to write the descriptions, you got to write the tags, you got to think of thumbnails, got to think of titles. And so it is a lot of work. And so I created a position I call the content manager. And so the content manager's job is to review all of these edits. It's his job to write descriptions, tags, everything, post across all the various platforms. And, you know, really my job is I film videos, you know, I script them out and kind of think of the subject and all that stuff. My job is to just film and then approve like the final is what I would call it before it launches. And it saves us a lot of time.
Dude, you're my hero. You are my fucking hero right now. No, I'm amazingly inspired. Like that's a great thing about having these guest hosts is like, just when I think that I'm killing this YouTube game.
I know. Same, dude.
I got this YouTube game on lock. I guarantee it. I can't tell, but I guarantee that you are sitting in an office somewhere. You are not at your house sitting in your basement like me doing this. And like I said, that's a credit to you. And I'm dumbfounded. Now, another thing in watching your videos on YouTube, and I kind of want to ask about this because this is something that's really, really important to JJ and I as well. So I love to incorporate this in the show. We are both huge family guys. We are both totally into our wives, our kids, and our life and spending time with them. And I think that all of us as creators have a little trouble with work-life balance and things like that. How is work-life balance a part of your like family life? You know, like I'm very curious on how you're doing all of these things, but you and your wife in your videos, you still look super happy. Like you guys just bought a mountain or something like that. Like how are you balancing all these things? Like, are there like certain businesses like your real estate, do they have to kind of take the back burner, or are they kind of just running themselves at this point? How are you managing all that?
Let me just say, as far as buying the mountain goes, if I didn't start a YouTube channel, I wouldn't have bought a mountain. I'm serious, because, you know, the amount of money that, you know, social media and YouTube and everything have made me in the last 6 months allowed me to do that. But also too, I know that building that house on that mountain, you know, it's going to be epic, right? And expensive. But guess who's going to be getting a ton of discounts for marketing all these vendors and all the things that we're going to do with it because of influence. That house, I really believe it will pay for itself. I believe it. Because once you become an influencer, almost everything you invest in or buy, I should say, it's not even, it is an investment, but like, I don't need a freaking mansion on a mountain, right? But it becomes part of content, and that can pay for itself. Like, that's the craziest thing about this. Anyways, as far as like family goes, you know, at the end of the day, I tell this to new creators and people who want to get started all the time, is like, just be you. At the end of the day, you don't have to fake and act like you're someone else. If you're a brand new realtor and you're trying to build a following, dude, don't act like you know everything. You don't. You know,
so true.
You know, so just embrace being a scrub, and people will relate to it, dude. They will be like, dude, me too. I'm just getting started. Or they might have pity and be like, dude, I want to be your first, you know, sale. Like I love watching you hustle and try and get it. Like, I want to refer you people and stuff. I see it happen all the time. I love giving brand new people a shot, you know, at different things. So be transparent, be you. You know, for me, I talk about my family a lot. You know, we film stuff together. I talk about my faith in God a lot. I talk about just anything that is me. I talk about sports. I'll talk about all that stuff. I'm not, because that's the only way I want to do it. I don't want to have this image of where I'm like walking on eggshells. Like, man, I can't say that. It's bad for the brand. I don't care. I really don't care. And I'll give you an example. So I've gotten approached a few times about TV. And this was even kind of before all this social media blow up, just because I flipped so many houses, right? They're like, oh, you guys are a young couple. Let's do the house flipping show and all this. I'm like, are we going to have to fake all this crap that they fake on the shows? And like, are you going to tell me like what I can and can't do outside of the show and all this? And in the end, it was just like, no, I'm good. Like, I don't need it at this point. I can go create my own series. That's where the world's headed. Nobody needs TV or all the stuff that you're seeing anymore. The world's changing.
I really do think that staying yourself is very important. I actually get that comment a lot because I like to make fun of myself. You know, I have a podcast, but I'm not the greatest speaker. I'll be honest. I stumble upon my words. I don't know how to pronounce certain words correctly. But to be honest, that's become me. That's who I am. I'm just that dude that, like, you know, I like drinking beer and talking about money, and, you know, like, this all boils down to the name of this podcast, Average Money. But like, I am your typical average dude that lives in a small town in Missouri of 500 people. I didn't make a lot of money. Then I turned this into something crazy, you know, something life-changing for me. That I literally, when I first started the YouTube channel, I had an old family camera I set on top of a dog container, and then my kid's toy box for the makeshift tripod, and stood in front of a window. This is really the message. I'm so glad you're hitting on all this stuff, Ryan, because this is the message I wanted to get out in today's podcast. Is social media can really be life-changing. You just have to take the step to start. You know, and so many people get caught up on, well, what camera do I buy? Or, you know, what kind of equipment do I need? Or what do I need to do for this? Or it doesn't matter. Film the content, produce the content, whatever your passion is. And I'm so glad you said this too, like, don't fake it. Be you. It's more about documenting the process than it is teaching, you know, because there's so many more people that can relate to you if you're going through the same problems and you talk about your lessons learned and the things you did wrong and what you should do different. I think that's very important because you don't want to come off as somebody who's fake, to where you can showcase yourself. Now, one thing I'm also glad you brought up, because I do kind of want to touch on this. You mentioned that you're with your brand, you're not worried about saying whatever you want to say. And I'm pretty much the same way. Now there's this question goes both ways. First is, I don't know why money is such a taboo subject. I don't know why I grew up, not really talking about money, and we didn't really touch on like what people made, and that was just like a bad question. But as I've gotten into the YouTube space, I still sometimes have this like the old me, the growing up me, the kid JJ is like, don't talk about money, don't do this. But I'm a money channel, and when I talk sometimes about how much I've made or what I've done, I still get this like little, oh, should I say that? How do you really get past that? Because I still like, and with me living in a small community, like a lot of people know what I'm doing right now, and I'm sometimes worried about like, I don't know, just people expecting stuff now that once I start talking about how much I'm really making, I don't know, dude, it's just such a weird subject. How do you get past that?
That goes back to the struggle I had back in 2016 that I was talking about, where I would post, that I'm at the house and what I was doing, but never profits. Like I didn't want to have people in my business. Also, I didn't want to come off as boastful, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And once I finally did it, it created more good than hate, I should say, for me. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who never said anything. They were haters, whatever. But, at the end of the day, I realized, what? This is good for my business, my family, for those around me. It allows me to do other things with my money. I can give, I can help people more. So, long story short, I would just look at what's the outcome going to be. At the end of the day, if you're just boasting about how rich you are and, all this stuff, and it creates no positive value for you, your family, your companies, whatever, then okay, you might be doing it wrong. But if you're doing it the right way and, you're adding value to the world and you're inspiring people, then I think it's a great thing. And to me, you turn it upside down. You're like, by you not doing that, you're holding back from, someone else's success. You're not inspiring them in a way that you could have. And so like one of the big things that people always tell me is like, dude, it's inspiring to see like what you're doing. And, people, why are they inspired? I mean, it's because I'm sharing a lot of it, like the process, the result, which is money on a lot of this, right? So it's like, it shows the full picture. Even like I was so inspired when I saw how much money Graham and Kevin and these guys were making on YouTube. If they didn't show the result, I would have been like, oh man, yeah, they're probably just whatever. And then I saw the result and I was like, oh my gosh, all right, I'm going to make a channel.
The wonderful thing is, and I don't want to look past this, you're not inspiring people to be like, go out and start a social media business. Like you have been successful in pretty much everything that you've talked about. And I think if somebody's listening, they should be more focused on the steps that you're taking, the work ethic, the attitude that you have towards those things that are making you successful. And you're not just like a social media influencer success. You're a successful entrepreneur, and you just found different things to invest your time in to make you money. And I think that's the overall arching thing. And I heard you say something, and I definitely want you to talk about it because I don't know how many people do know about it currently, but you are expanding even further, and there's a podcast on the near future for you. Is that something we can expect? Is there going to be a Ryan Pineda show coming soon, or what do we got?
Obviously, with all social media, once you become quote unquote influencer, right? You want to really start hitting all demographics. And you'll see that TikTok, followers will find you on YouTube and Instagram and all this stuff. And for me, the big question I've always gotten now is like, why don't you have a podcast yet? Like you're everywhere else. And it was just something that I knew wasn't the right timing yet. It's not, this was the one where I wasn't like, no, podcasts are stupid. Like the other ones, I thought that, but this, I already knew podcasts are amazing. I've learned so much. I got started with Bigger Pockets and everything. But the reason I hadn't started it before was because obviously I was still trying to perfect our team and processes on YouTube. And because that was the priority. Also too, I wanted to wait until we could have a lot of momentum for the podcast and, really launch with a bang. Not just like slow grow it, but now I feel like we can launch with a bang with my followings across. So yeah, I actually ended up building a studio here in my office It's going to be the Ryan Pineda Show on, Apple Podcast. And we're going to actually make a second YouTube channel for it. So we'll have the video version as well. And, we're going to be doing a huge giveaway to try and promote the podcast and get on New and Noteworthy. So my hope is that, obviously people want to watch the podcast because they're going to get value, but I'm also going to be bribing people to go subscribe. So yeah, that by the time this episode launches, I would say, maybe we're going to be like a week out from our podcast launch. And so if you guys want to be a part of the giveaway, just go to ryanpineda.com/giveaway. So ryanpineda.com/giveaway, and you'll see how to enter it. But we're going to be giving away thousands of dollars, online courses, merch, all this cool stuff. And all you have to do is subscribe. That's it. That's how you enter. So super excited.
I know there's a ton of stuff that, that I can still learn from you and everything you're doing. And I thank you very much. I know you're a busy guy, and now I even know more now. I thought you were busy before, but now I almost feel guilty for taking up some of your time on a Friday morning. And like I said, I just have a ton of respect for you. And as I get older and I see people that are younger that are doing better than me exponentially, it does inspire me. It inspires me to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate what I'm doing. But it also inspires me to continue to learn from people that are younger than me, doing different things than me. So I just want to say thank you very much for your time. JJ, do you have anything else you want to say to Ryan before we let him get back to work?
I mean, Brad, you nailed it. But yeah, Ryan, I do want to say thank you for the time, bud. I know you're busy. We're just the Average Money Podcast, but it was awesome to be able to, honestly, like Brad said earlier, like I like selfishly having our guests come on because I always learn something in this podcast. Always, no matter what we're talking about. But also I get motivated to, because I'll be honest with you, I've been going back and forth on potentially hiring somebody, but I've never hired anyone in my life. I have no idea where to start. And hearing your kind of process for doing that,
you got to do it. And, I do appreciate you guys having me on. It has been a blast. I love chatting up, talking shop with people. And maybe, if you do hire somebody and, we get inspired, by the end of the year, this will be the Above Average Money Podcast.
There you go, baby. I like it.
We'll have to come back and revisit that. I mean, if your podcast doesn't push us into the ground. Remember how good Average Money was doing before Ryan Pineda came out with the show?
Below average.
We'll leave links, and I'm sure there's very few people that know about us that don't know about you, but we'll make sure that because we also have the YouTube version of this as well, so this will come out in video format, so we'll make sure we link all your channels and stuff. And looking forward to you getting that silver play button. I know you're approaching 100K. Have you hit 100K yet, or are you getting close?
We should hit it, this coming month. So I'm excited, man.
All right, good, man.
Yeah, dude.
I'm very happy for you that. And like I said, bud, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you for having me.